Is Iran fooling USA with talks on Hormuz's reopening, and is secretly rebuilding its missile arsenal with a far-greater threat capability? Iran is preparing to extend missile range to 15,000 kilometers, a distance that would theoretically place much of the continental United States within Iran's range. In one of Tehran's most provocative recent messages, the cleric said Americans should understand what it means to be hit by missiles and to be left in blood and destruction. The warning comes as reports raise concerns over U.S. munitions consumption during the Iran war, especially stocks of missile defense interceptors. The intense use of interceptors has fueled debate over whether U.S. forces can maintain strong protection against simultaneous missile, drone, and cyber threats. Senior Iranian cleric Abdolnabi Mousavifard said Tehran was preparing to increase the range of its missiles to 15,000 kilometers, although he offered no operational details or evidence that such a weapon already exists. Speaking on August 7, Mousavifard said the extended missile range would enable Iran to strike the United States, using the claim to warn Washington that it could face direct consequences of future escalation. Mousavifard added that Iran's existing missile force could already reach Israel, which he described as roughly 2,000 kilometers away, highlighting Tehran's established regional strike capability before claiming a future intercontinental reach. Mousavifard said, and I quote, "We are preparing ourselves so that the American people, too, will see what it is like to be hit by missiles, and understand what it means to be left in blood and destruction." End quote. Mousavifard also said he hoped Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu would be destroyed by Iranian forces, reinforcing the highly confrontational tone of his remarks toward both Israel and the United States. The cleric's statement came as Iran and Oman said they had reached an understanding on coordinates for a shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz, with a joint announcement reportedly in the final drafting stage. The comments also surfaced amid reports that the U.S. had used nearly 80% of its pre-war THAAD interceptor stock, but that figure remains contested by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and should not be treated as confirmed fact. The U.S. military used nearly 80% of its THAAD interceptor stockpile during the Iran conflict, according to a CNN report. Reports also say the United States has expended roughly half of its Patriot missile inventory since the conflict with Iran began. Senior U.S. military commanders are reportedly warning that stockpiles of several key precision munitions have reached dangerously low levels. The THAAD air defense system plays a critical role in intercepting ballistic missiles at high altitudes and protecting strategic military assets. Patriot air defense systems have also been used extensively to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drone attacks throughout the conflict. CNN reported that the U.S. Army has consumed virtually all of its available long-range precision strike missiles during recent operations. Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, were among the precision weapons reportedly depleted after months of sustained combat operations. The report also said the Army's newer precision strike missiles, or PRSMs, were heavily consumed during recent military operations. U.S. stockpiles of Tomahawk cruise missiles have also reportedly declined significantly following months of intensive military operations. The Center for Strategic and International Studies estimated the United States possessed approximately 452 THAAD interceptors before the conflict began. CSIS also estimated that the United States had roughly 2,200 modern Patriot interceptor missiles before the outbreak of the war. The shrinking missile inventories have raised concerns about America's readiness for potential high-intensity conflict in the Indo-Pacific region. Several Gulf allies have reportedly warned that lower U.S. missile stockpiles could weaken regional defenses against future missile and drone threats. A number of America's regional partners rely heavily on THAAD and Patriot air defense systems to protect critical energy infrastructure. CNN reported that concerns over munitions shortages were discussed before President Trump decided to halt planned military strikes against Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly received the initial authorization before the planned operation was later placed on hold. On August 4, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth publicly rejected CNN's report and denied claims that the U.S. military is facing a critical weapons shortage. A new report claimed the U.S. has used virtually all of its long-range precision missiles during the war with Iran, raising fresh concerns over America's military stockpiles. The depleted inventory reportedly includes Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, along with newer precision strike missiles, according to the Times of Israel. Sources told the report that the prolonged 5-month conflict had sharply reduced U.S. inventories of key long-range precision-guided weapons. The report said the declining missile stockpile has raised concerns about America's readiness to respond to any future large-scale military conflict. Analysts warned that shrinking inventories could weaken U.S. deterrence against major adversaries such as Russia and China if another crisis emerged. One source said U.S. Central Command had replenished part of its inventory by transferring munitions from other regional commands during the conflict. However, the sources declined to reveal how many ATACMS or precision strike missiles the United States still has available in its remaining arsenal. The US is now seeking billions of dollars to rebuild missile stocks after months of intense operations in the Iran war, reflecting how quickly modern conflicts drain high-end munitions. On July 31st, Bloomberg revealed that the Pentagon has submitted a new $67 billion emergency request, a package explicitly tied to the ongoing Iran conflict and its costs. Within that broader request, $18.2 billion has been earmarked to replace key missiles used during recent operations, focusing on the most advanced interceptors and cruise weapons. The funding plan has been formally submitted to U.S. Senate and House Defense Committees, signaling that Congress is now being asked to sign off on this rapid rearmament push. Bloomberg's report comes after months of U.S. strikes on Iranian targets and repeated defensive interceptions against incoming missiles and drones across the region. The Pentagon's shopping list includes about $5.75 billion dedicated just to THAAD interceptors, reflecting how heavily the high-altitude shield was relied on during the war. Another $5.57 billion are set aside for Patriot PAC-3 MSE missiles, the Army's frontline air defense rounds that have been fired repeatedly to stop Iranian attacks. Around $1.9 billion would go to Standard Missile-6 interceptors, a versatile Navy weapon used for both air and missile defense in contested waters. Some $1.3 billion is earmarked for new Tomahawk cruise missiles, replenishing the long-range strike inventory that has been used for precision hits on Iranian targets. A further $1 billion would fund SM-3 Block IIA interceptors, crucial for exo-atmospheric missile defense and increasingly central to US-led protection. About $992 million is allocated to AMRAAM air-to-air missiles, ensuring US fighter jets can continue to engage hostile aircraft and drones without worrying about shortages. The list also includes roughly $692 million for precision strike missiles, expanding the Army's ability to hit key ground targets at long range with conventional warheads. US officials say this emergency request reflects growing concerns over America's missile stockpiles, which have been visibly strained by sustained high-tempo operations. American forces fired 13,629 munitions during the recent Iran conflict, according to Bloomberg, a figure that highlights just how intense and prolonged the campaign has become. Pete Hegseth notes that the request also includes around $21 billion to speed up missile procurement, aiming to push industry to deliver faster and in greater volume.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HD app. Download now.